Hello chess friends and welcome to Azarov Chess channel and welcome to another spectacular game from the computer chess rating list website, the popular CCRL. We have here Slowchess against another top engine Stockfish in a crazy McDonnell attack, but today the cool part is that again we'll see the fish battling it out with the black pieces against really an unpleasant method against the Sicilian defense. In my opinion, really crazy game, which will have in one particular moment a crazy exchange sacrifice in the middle game stage. It's not one of those exchange sacrifices that ends the game immediately. It's one of those really positional, beautiful exchange sacrifice that is not allowing your opponent to breathe. It's really great positional sack by the fish. So put your seatbelts on and enjoy again in the crazy gameplay by Stockfish 16. So with the white pieces here, the slow chess engine open with the move e4. We have c5 the Sicilian, and now we have immediately the McDonnell attack by slow chess with the move f4. Stockfish goes into the dragon style with the g6. C4, keeping of course an eye on the d5 square. Stockfish plays normal d6, knight to f3, bishop to g7, and now after move knight to c3, knight to f6, bishop to e2, knight to c6, controlling further the d4 square. We have now d3 and now a6, trying of course to launch here a queenside flank attack. Kingside casting, rook to b8, and you see now this again becomes sort of an opposite side attack game where white is trying to launch some kind of a kingside flank attack with f5 e5 methods, even h3 g4 stuff, and basically the whole concept is somehow to attack the king side. On the other hand, black is trying to launch a queen side flank attack with the potential move b5, and that's exactly what here Slowchess is not allowing. It's not allowing here with the move a4. But now with the move a4 you have left, I think, two main weaknesses in your position. First of all, the b4 weakness, which can be occupied by black, and also the d4 weakness, which also here Slowchess allowed for black. But I think even if you manage somehow to play the move knight to b4, even if you controlled this square, you don't have support. You don't have any further pieces that could support your powerful knight on b4. So that's why I think black should simply rely more on this central square, on the square d4. So here Stockfish should search the position to be fixed. I think here from this point on it's simply a battle for the d4 square. So that's why here after move kingside casting we have now h3 by Slowchess. Again, a good move, which is not allowing Stockfish here to play bishop to g4 in some lines, because if that happens and then you play h3 afterwards, then we'll simply pick up the knight and control further the d4 square. So basically we would get rid of the key defender of the d4 square. h3, good prophylactic move here by Slowchess. We have now knight to d7, aiming again the d4 square. We have rook to b1, and now e6, not allowing here also white to jump on the beautiful d5 square. We have bishop to e3. Slowchess is trying now to break and enter with the move d4, so that's why Stockfish is not allowing that. Plays now knight to d4, queen to d2, b6, and now comes, I think, sort of first critical moment of the game. When we evaluate now the piece strength, I think we can agree that the knight on d4 is much more powerful than the bishop on e2, and here Slowchess I think plays an unnecessary bishop to d1. I'm not sure if any of this, if in any of these lines black would give up the powerful knight for the bishop. So that's why I think it was a little bit rushed here to retreat with the bishop. As I said, really unnecessary move, which also disconnects now both of these rooks. And from this point on, I think Stockfish is sensing something. Stockfish is sensing here some positional problems in white's position. So Stockfish first of all plays normally bishop to b7. We have queen to f2, putting more pressure against the knight. Stockfish pushes the pawn further to e5, and now after move f takes e5, good move here by the fish, knight to e5 with a great counter attack against the d3 weakness. You cannot take, of course, knight to d4 here, because you get first knight to d3, you have to now get the queen somewhere, and now we pick up this one. Also another piece is hanging in this open battle. I think the bishop pair should be much more stronger than of course the bishop and the knight. Look at this really beautiful position for sure for black. So that's why after knight to e5 we have knight takes e5, bishop to e5, important move, not to take of course with the pawn, because then you could leave also the d5 square unprotected. Of course white can occupy the d5 square, but in one moment I think you'll have to give up the bishop for a knight, and then in a potential endgame, this is a good game for white, because white would not have only a pass pawn, it would be a supported pass pawn, which could be very, very unpleasant to handle then for black in a potential endgame stage. So that's why after knight to e5, Stockfish continues with bishop to e5. You cannot take out the knight because, of course, you lose the queen after bishop takes d4. That's why knight to e2. Again, a simple battle for the d4 square. We have now knight to e6, and now comes another beautiful moment of this game. Here, Slowchess played now the aggressive bishop to h6, and you can cover with bishop to g7. You can also cover with knight to g7, but Stockfish, as I mentioned, with the move bishop to d1 and this disconnected rooks, noticed many positional problems in black's camp. Stockfish played now the amazing queen to e7 and says here, show me what you got, show me what are you going to do. And here Slowchess accepts the challenge. We have now bishop to f8, rook to f8, but notice now that the light square bishop is by white is simply neutralized by its own pawns. There are several dark square problems that black can face, so it's not white can face, and it's not such an easy game now to play. The rooks are simply out of game. In order to make somehow this rooks work, you would have to open somehow some files, and I'm not sure how white is going to do that, because d4 is well protected, but also the square f4 is occupied. Really beautiful exchange sacrifice here by the fish. So here Slowchess is trying desperately with the move rook to a1 to open the position, maybe with the move a5, but Stockfish plays a counter-attack, f5. If you take here e takes f5, then we have this one, rook to f5. You can maybe escape, but now we can play even this one, rook knight to f4. You're trying maybe knight to f4. Look at this, bishop to d4 wins the game immediately here for black. The queen is lost, game over, you can resign. So that's why after f5, queen to e1, Stockfish continues now with a5. It's not allowing this move b4 to happen. If that happens, or maybe the move a5, as we mentioned, maybe black could be challenged. The white's rook could come into the game maybe on the 7th rank, and then it's again very unpleasant. King to h1 here by Slowchess, getting out of the dark square problems, and now Stockfish continues now with a beautiful f4. And you see now we have sort of a King's Indian attack, King's Indian method that Stockfish is applying. Like in the common King's Indian, when you manage to push the pawn on f4, what Stockfish is trying to do is somehow maybe to reshuffle the bishop here and play here, and again a kingside attack with, I don't know, g5 g4 h5 h4 and similar stuff. Tries, of course, to break and enter on this side of the board, and Stockfish has here, of course, we have to mention it, a 3 versus 1 pawn majority. This center is blocked, as we mentioned. Stockfish is controlling that square. This queen side is blocked out, so no breakthroughs here for white for sure. Great strategic and positional play here by Stockfish. Knight to g1, here Slowchess reroutes the knight. We have now knight to d4. Stockfish is controlling that. Knight to f3, and now knight to f3. We have bishop to f3. Here Slowchess is finally getting the light square bishop into the game, but again the only square that I see where the bishop could come is, of course, the move g4, but from this square it's not attacking anything. But at least Slowchess is trying somehow to defend his position. It's not allowing maybe g4 to happen here by black. We have bishop to c8 as promised. Stockfish is still trying to launch this kingside flank attack. We have now rook to a3. If you try here maybe to compete against this bishop, then we can take it out immediately. And now the queen is coming into the game. You get a couple of checks. Bishop is coming, so white has to be also worried about this potential even checkmate threat in some line. So it's not a good continuation here with the move bishop to g4. So that's why rook to a3. We have now bishop to d4. Again, Stockfish is not taking out this pawn because this one would happen, and then again you activate your opponent's rook. So that's why after bishop to d4 by the fish, we have rook to c3. Stockfish doesn't care for the rook. Who would love to now give up the rook? Of course, the bishop is much more powerful here than this rook on c3. Really crazy position. So that's why Stockfish first of all improves the position of the king. We have rook to c2, and now comes this idea h5, g5, if possible also g4, and then maybe sneaking in with the queen, getting the rook on the h file. Really a beautiful King's Indian attack here by Stockfish 16. We have bishop to e2, queen to e6, b3. We have queen to e5. We have queen to d1, controlling, of course, the light squares here, not allowing any progress. But now Stockfish first plays a calm bishop to e6, queen to e1, queen to g5. Look at this, bishop to f3. Slowchess doesn't have any active move. Stockfish paralyzed so much the position of whites that white is just playing tiny little moves with its pieces. It cannot be activated in this position at all. So we have queen to h6, queen to e2. We have now bishop to d7. We have rook to d2, and now Stockfish notices the possibility even to go with the king towards the center of the board, because Stockfish is trying, of course, somehow maybe rook to g8, then g5 g4 and similar stuff. So Stockfish has to bring now the king out of the potential attack, but king to f7, very, very brilliant idea. Rook to d1. We have now king to e7, and now Slowchess somehow try to open the position. The only maybe move that splits somehow black's defense is now the move e5. Even if you try here rook to c1, if you don't play this move e5, then again black will block it out with bishop to e5. You're trying, I don't know, maybe something like rook to d1, and now g5 is working, because you can maybe try. I wanted to show you also here a beautiful attacking style that could have happened. And you have even this one, bishop to h3, very, very tricky stuff. G takes h3, and now f3, you take, then you bring this one, bishop is coming, game over here for white. So I wanted to show you how white cannot also play passively here, because g5 and g4 is a huge tactical threat in white's position. So that's why e5, the only way to make some kind of a counter play. Stockfish accepts the challenge, and now rook to e1, trying to do something, of course, on the e5. But Stockfish plays now king to d8, hides with the king. Here we have queen to e4 by Slowchess, and now a good move again by the fish, g5, with this progressive g4 idea. What should now white do? Here we have queen to b7 going for this pawn, but Stockfish is even protecting this one. So again, no counterplay for white at all. So we have now this move g4, bishop to e4. We have now king to e7. Stockfish plays now with the king all over the board, but it cannot be attacked. There's simply no good progressive method here for white to open the position. We have now bishop to d5, queen to g6, going now for f3, maybe then g takes h3, going with the queen on g3. Again, too many options here for black. After queen to g6, we have queen to c7, queen to d6, even trying to trade off the queens, because even if you take queen to d6, king takes d6, again, this is a brutal position for white to handle. There's simply, again, this 3 versus 2 pawn majority with the support of both of these bishops. Again, I would even dare to say game over here for white. So that's why after queen to d6, queen to b7 here by Slowchess, but now again a calm king to f6. We have now the move g3. Stockfish passes through with f3, and now rook to e4, trying to do something, trying maybe, I don't know, give up again the rook for the bishop, but it doesn't matter. This is really, really strategically a bad game here for white. We have now king to e7. Stockfish again plays with the king, rook to e1, and now rook to f5, trying, of course, to protect further the g4 square. And if something opens again, the rook can come into the game through the h file. What should now white do? Even if you try here rook to d4, then c takes d4, even if you try, I don't know, h takes g4, then we can play h takes g4. You're trying maybe to pick up this one, but then the rook is coming, you have to cover. We take, and now the queen is coming again in a beautiful way into the game. There's simply no defense. You're trying, I don't know, bishop to f3, the queen is coming here, you're trying maybe to escape, but then the rook is hanging again. Even here is a checkmate. So I wanted to show you again that too many tactical problems white is here for sure. After rook to f5, that's why rook to f1. Stockfish continues now with queen to h6. We have rook takes d4, we have c takes d4, and now bishop to e4, trying to attack the rook. But now Stockfish plays a beautiful counter attack with queen to d2, immediately threatens a checkmate, forces now the move rook to g1, and now a beautiful rook to f6. A calm move here by Slowchess, again protecting simply the b6 weakness. We have now queen to c7, trying, of course, to do some dangerous checks here, but now a beautiful move here by the fish, f2, and in this particular position, actually, the Slowchess engine even resigned. So let's see, why did here Slowchess resign? Because even if you deliver some checks here, we can cover. You can get a new check. Again, we'll simply get back. You can get your fun with a couple of checks, but now when we attack the queen, there's simply no good check anymore. The queen is controlling the g5 square. You can, of course, pick up this one, but now after a couple more moves, game over here for white. Even if you try after move f2, rook to f1, again with the same pattern, we attack simply here. the rook on f1. Even if you try, let's see, queen to e5 again we get a similar position where we simply step back, cover now with the bishop. Even if you try, I don't know, to cover with your bishop on g2, then again we can simply deflect it. We can of course take out the queen here on the e file. So because of bishop to g2, you have opened now the e file. Again, game over. Let's see in the beginning, after f2 and rook to f1 and queen to e2, even if you try bishop to g2 immediately, now the e5 pawn is protected, and now you can play something like, I don't know, h4, queen to b7, then we pick up this one. You're trying to push the pawn further. Now we play rook to h6. You're trying to do this one, but then rook to c6, b4. I'm not sure. Look at this. Too many options. You're trying this one, but then queen comes here. You're trying to cover. Rook to h6, for instance, is also a beautiful checkmate pattern. So too much pressure here. Stockfish calculated everything in a good way. Great exchange sacrifice in the beginning of the game, which led into such a static position for white. White could never really open a position, and the beautiful king march towards the king side was also very epic. Stockfish managed to play this beautiful king side attack, this king's Indian attack sort of on the king side by pushing the pawn on f4, then creating this 3 versus 2 pawn majority. Amazing stuff again by Stockfish 16. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas of the McDonnell attack with the black pieces. If you want to see more sharp, brutal, epic tactical chess like this, check out our Come to Chess Games Play by Computers. And if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. See you soon with some more videos saying what do we say in the end. Chess is the best, of course.